The Boeing 747, known as the Queen of the Skies, revolutionized air travel when it first took to the skies in 1969. It was a marvel of engineering, a symbol of progress, and the backbone of long-haul travel for decades. But one catastrophic crash involving this iconic aircraft would forever change aviation, leaving an indelible mark on the industry and altering how the world viewed air safety. This is the story of the Boeing 747 crash that reshaped aviation forever. It was a day like any other, with passengers boarding what they believed to be a routine flight. The Boeing 747 stood tall on the tarmac, its massive engines humming in anticipation of the journey ahead. But within hours, tragedy would strike, and the skies would bear witness to an event that would change everything. The crash, a harrowing sequence of events, was not simply the result of one failure but a combination of factors: human error, technical malfunctions, and systemic oversights. Investigators, faced with the daunting task of piecing together the evidence, uncovered a series of missteps that culminated in disaster. The cockpit voice recorder captured the final moments of the flight, revealing a tense and chaotic scene. The pilots, highly trained and experienced, faced an escalating series of challenges that seemed insurmountable. Communication between the flight crew and air traffic control was strained, filled with misinterpretations and unclear instructions. In the high-pressure environment of the cockpit, decisions had to be made in seconds, decisions that, in hindsight, would prove devastating. One of the critical issues was the aircraft's systems. The Boeing 747, while advanced for its time, was not immune to failures. A malfunction in the critical instrumentation left the pilots struggling to maintain control. As the situation spiraled out of control, the crew's training and instincts were pushed to their limits. Compounding these issues was the environment in which the flight operated. Weather conditions added another layer of complexity, with turbulence and low visibility creating a perfect storm. The combination of these factors left the flight crew with little margin for error, and unfortunately, the errors came in rapid succession. When the crash finally occurred, the devastation was unimaginable. The impact was felt not just by the families of the victims, but across the entire aviation industry. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities in what was supposed to be a flawless system. In the aftermath, the investigation was exhaustive. Teams of experts combed through the wreckage, listened to recordings, and analyzed data to determine exactly what went wrong. The findings were sobering, exposing flaws in aircraft design, airline protocols, and even the broader framework of international aviation regulations. But out of tragedy came transformation. The crash became a catalyst for sweeping changes across the aviation industry. The findings led to major advancements in cockpit technology, including more reliable instrumentation and redundant systems designed to prevent similar failures. Communication protocols were overhauled to eliminate ambiguity between pilots and air traffic controllers, introducing standardized language and clearer procedures. One of the most profound changes was the introduction of Crew Resource Management, or CRM. This training revolutionized how pilots and crew operated in the cockpit, emphasizing teamwork, communication, and shared decision-making. No longer was the captain's authority absolute. Instead, a collaborative approach ensured that all voices were heard, minimizing the risk of errors going unchecked. Airline maintenance practices also came under scrutiny. Stricter inspection schedules were implemented, ensuring that aging aircraft were subject to rigorous checks. The crash underscored the importance of proactive safety measures, shifting the industry's mindset from reactive to preventive. For the families of the victims, these changes were bittersweet. While they could never bring back their loved ones, they served as a legacy, a promise that their loss would not be in vain. Every life lost in that crash became a driving force for safer skies, saving countless others in the years that followed. Today, the aviation industry is one of the safest modes of transportation in the world, and much of that progress can be traced back to lessons learned from this tragedy. The crash of the Boeing 747 was a turning point, forcing airlines, manufacturers, and regulators to confront hard truths and take meaningful action. The legacy of that fateful flight is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and our capacity to learn from even the darkest moments. It serves as a reminder that progress often comes at a great cost, but with it comes the hope of a brighter, safer future. The Boeing 747 crash that changed aviation forever is more than a story of loss. It's a story of transformation. It's a story of how a single event can drive an entire industry to improve, innovate, and ensure that no mistake is ever repeated. It's a story that reminds us of the responsibility we bear when we take to the skies and the relentless pursuit of perfection that keeps us safe.